This guy had just boosted this car for free, and the cops were already right behind him. He slammed the gas in reverse, and drove straight into the police car, and hit it again, then a third time, then a fourth time, until he finally broke free. Turns out a California news helicopter had locked onto this guy. He had only just entered the game, and he already helped himself to a black car. After a 3-minute test drive, he realized the car had no power and barely any gas, so he set his eyes on a random pickup parked by the road. He quickly pulled over and grabbed his tools, ready to press F and get in. You could tell right away this guy knew what he was doing. When he failed to open the driver's door, he went around and tried the passenger side, but he still could not get it open. So he had no choice but to return to the little black car he clearly hated. But this time, he had a clear goal. He needed to find himself a new ride. And judging from that pickup just now, this guy clearly liked big vehicles. At this point, the cops were already on their way. So he had to use the small window of time to solve his new vehicle problem. First, let's check the record. Oh, wow. This is a 7-star legend. Looks like we are in for another crazy match. After using a blind spot to break line of sight, he rushed toward this random refrigerated truck. Unlike the pickup from earlier, this time, it took him less than 10 seconds to get the door open and press F to get in. But the next second, the cops appeared right behind him. If he had not gotten inside, he would have had to surrender on the spot. But that is the terrifying part about a 7-star legend. As long as he has a vehicle, you are not catching him. After more than 20 hits in place, he finally broke free. By now, backup patrol cars were arriving one after another. But in the end, they were still one step too late. Now there were 2 more cops blocking the road ahead. One press of the gas decided the winner. He drifted perfectly through the middle of the flower bed and instantly escaped this crisis. If they could not stop him on a road this narrow, once he got back onto the main road, he was going to take off. The light ahead was red. He hit the gas and squeezed between 2 cars. Although that move knocked out his own headlight, he successfully made it onto the freeway. Now if the police wanted to stop him, it would depend on whether he gave them the chance. This refrigerated truck probably never imagined that one day it would be flying down the freeway at over 100 miles per hour. And what it never expected even more was that this was only the beginning. Now this guy was relying on his incredible driving skills, passing cars all the way down the freeway, even though he was driving a refrigerated truck. And even though the speed was extremely high, he somehow still made it feel steady. I guess this is the kind of safety only a true master can give you. He exited the freeway at a speed this truck was never built to handle. The truck fishtailed and nearly lost control. Luckily, his driving skill was strong enough, and he survived the moment without disaster. Meanwhile, the cops behind him had already been left far behind. Only 3 helicopters in the sky were still following him. A 7-star legend really is something else. In just a few rounds, he had already caused this much chaos, and with the speed he was carrying through the city, the cops simply could not catch up. On top of that, no one knew where he was going, so they could not set up an ambush ahead of time. Were they really about to compete with him by comparing fuel tanks? At this moment, traffic was backed up at the intersection ahead. Seeing this, he drifted right and took a shortcut. Then at the next intersection, he drifted again and merged back onto the main road. Looks like this guy was not only skilled, he also knew this map very well. Now another red light appeared ahead. Just as he was about to use the same trick and squeeze through, a black pickup sensed the danger and quickly moved out of the way. Zoom in. There was another red light up ahead. He simply hit the gas, found an opening, and blew right past it. That sequence was so insane, even the helicopter crew probably got chills. If this guy actually wanted to rank up, who knows if even the helicopter could handle him. Traffic was blocked again ahead, so he took another shortcut. Without 10 years of GTA experience, there is no way you would know this map that well. Pedestrians and drivers on the road saw his truck coming, and all of them looked completely confused. They slowed down and moved aside, terrified of becoming the next lucky victim. The sky was slowly getting dark, and rush hour had already begun. Whenever traffic got backed up, he simply climbed onto the flower bed. But with the way he was driving, you really had to wonder if the tires could hold up. Now he was passing cars like crazy the whole way, as if the traffic around him had nothing to do with him at all, and drifted through the corner. Beautiful. This was a refrigerated truck, but he drove it like a Ferrari. But no one expected this vehicle to fail before the driver did. The rear left tire started smoking, and sparks began flying out. Looks like this guy had to start looking for another ride again. Right at that moment, the police showed up. Clearly, the cops wanted to use this chance to take him down in one move, but dealing with a 7-star legend was never going to be that easy. After his tire completely gave out, even in that condition, he still somehow controlled the vehicle perfectly. In this state, on a turn that narrow, he still managed to make it through. But there was another traffic jam ahead. He tried to squeeze through, because this was a rear-wheel drive vehicle. Once the rear tire was destroyed, it lost power. It was over. The cops had caught up. He was trapped in place. Was a mighty 7-star legend really going to sit there and wait for the end? No. Judging from the sparks flying off the rear wheel, you could tell he still had not given up. With no way out, he came up with a plan. He pinned the gas to the floor, trying to draw the cops' attention, while the officers guarded the driver's side. Smoke began pouring from the engine bay up front, Then while the cops were distracted, he quickly climbed out from the passenger side and left the scene in the blink of an eye. Only after he had run several hundred feet away did the cops finally realize there was no one left inside the truck. If this were an ordinary person, this would basically have been the end. But when a 7-star legend faces a dead end, he always finds a way out. Wait, this house looks pretty good. He hit the brakes and slipped right inside. It could block the helicopter's line of sight, and it could also help him hide from the cops for a moment. He spotted the car keys on the table, and even kicked the family dog on his way through. That made the dog squad furious. He went into the front yard and found the car, but the passerby had a serious temper too. But this guy had no time to argue. After pressing F and getting in, he hit the gas and left the place. The family never imagined they could be sitting at home having dinner, only for someone to kick their dog and take their car too. So they quickly called the police. Meanwhile, the cops still had no idea that this guy had already switched vehicles. He drove right past them in broad daylight, and they did not even notice. You have to remember, his last ride was just a refrigerated truck, and he still kept the police busy for more than half an hour. Now that he had finally gotten the pickup he wanted, this guy was basically a fish back in the ocean and a bird back in the sky. But he did not learn from what happened to the last vehicle. Whenever traffic jammed up, he still chose to drive over the flower beds. For his current skill level, this was already routine. And for the drivers on the road, they had pretty much gotten used to it too. Even though the sky was getting darker, this guy stayed calm and steady. His rhythm never fell apart. You really have to admit, whether it is skill or mentality, a 7-star legend is built different. Oh no. At the intersection ahead, he suddenly ran into the cops. The police had been looking for him for so long, so naturally, they were not going to miss this gift from heaven. But for this 7-star guy, this was not really a big problem. Over the past hour, he had shaken off at least 80 cops, if not 100. To him, the flashing red and blue lights were basically just mood lighting. Now he reached the freeway, ready to show a little skill and lose the cops. As expected from a 7-star legend, after one smooth combo, the cops were nowhere to be seen. Now this guy was getting more and more fired up, with absolutely no sign that he wanted to stop. And honestly, his passing technique was truly impressive. Because of the total video length, the footage is slightly sped up, but that absolutely does not take away from his skill. He is still showing off. This guy is still showing off. He thought there were too few cars on the right, so even with the freeway exit coming up, he still chose the middle lane. And just like that, he ran into a massive semi-truck. With no other choice, he hit the brakes, quickly changed lanes to the right, and got off the freeway. Traffic was backed up again. But in this guy's world, there is no such thing as traffic. He solved the problem easily. Now he was flying through the city at 75 miles per hour. Backup units had already arrived one after another. The moment he passed by, they immediately joined the chase. Now the intersection ahead was blocked by police. He used a small trick, drove over the flower bed, and broke through again. Then he pinned the gas and rushed through quickly. The ones who suffered from it were actually the police cars behind him. Now ahead of him was a two-way, single-lane mountain road. If you want to pass cars here, you need absolute skill. Clearly, the cop behind him was not an ordinary officer either. He followed this guy and passed cars with him, without making a single mistake. This was the moment. With just one move, he easily decided the winner. When facing the talent of a 7-star legend, a cop must always be ready to lose him. What? The cop actually caught up. Could he also be a 7-star legend? Sure enough, the California police have experts too. For this guy, this only makes things more interesting. Only by defeating this cop can he rank up to 8 stars? Now he entered a villa neighborhood. He was not familiar with the terrain here, so he could only drive forward by instinct, and somehow ended up in a dead end, right in front of the cops. He made a U-turn, then used the same old trick, drove onto the flower bed, and left like nothing happened. Good lord. That move not only got him out, it also successfully shook off the 7-star cop behind him. He decided to go back the way he came. When the camera pulled out, you could see police already waiting at the bend ahead. When the road is narrow, the brave one wins. And at this moment, the 7-star cop had already caught up again. He found a gap and broke through directly. Even if there are 1,000 soldiers in front of me, I will still move forward. If anyone still doubted his driving skills before this, that move alone made him a legend. Now he headed back toward the mountain road, preparing to return to the city. And a new duel was about to begin. At this point, he had already been running for a full hour and a half, but his tires could not. This time, it was the front left steering tire. But his skill was honestly too strong. Even with the vehicle in this condition, it still did not affect his turns. This was a winding mountain road. Even with a perfectly fine car, most people would not dare drive like this. To capture one 7-star legend, the police sent out 2 7-star officers and 2 peak 6-star officers. As for the 5-star officers, there were too many to count. And even under those conditions, this guy still made it back to the city. That shows just how hard it is to arrest a 7-star legend. He kept driving on nothing but a metal rim, sparks flying the whole way, and still passed every car he saw. Even like this, he was still showing off. And somehow, he was still accelerating. His speed even reached 75 miles per hour at one point. This guy was definitely already at the peak of 7 stars. He hit the brakes twice, but still could not stop. However, the game was still not over. This pickup somehow could still accelerate, but there was absolutely nowhere left to go ahead. After crashing again, he stopped in the middle of the road. The 6-star cop behind him failed to brake in time. That hit left everyone completely silent. With sparks flying off the truck, he crashed straight into a gas pump. That scared him badly. But by now, police had already surrounded him from every direction. Once again, he pinned the gas in place, trying to create smoke and use the same trick as before, but he never expected. This time, the cops opened fire directly. And at this point, this guy had no ability to fight back anymore. A man who was half a step away from 8 stars fell right here. The entire chase lasted 2 hours. This guy switched vehicles 3 times and escaped on foot twice. Any one of those moments by itself would already be insane. Now let's look at how massive the police response was. And with this guy's final taste of freedom coming to an end, that brings this episode to a close.